All righty. So, guys, welcome into the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. I'm your host, Jabron Curtis. With me today, I have Stephen Pintado, the main man of the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. I have Coach Brandon out here repping Philly today, and we
How's
have
it
our
going?
guest, Chris Pinto from Belly Up Fantasy Sports. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Officially no longer with Belly Up Sports, though.
Oh, tell them where they can
Yeah.
find you now.
Do what?
Tell
Where
them
you
where
at
you can
now?
find you now.
I'm part with you guys, partners. I'm with the Rum Boys.
Oh,
Pirate
boys.
ship, man. The pirate ship behind me, the fancy first rounders pirate ship. Miles put this together for us, man.
Nice.
We wanted, like in what's it? The other guys. We just had to get out, spread our wings, and fly like a peacock,
All right,
Hey,
you
man,
can
respect
find them
it.
at the Rum Boys now. Free agency over
That's
here.
right.
Love it, man.
All right.
That's
Well, the main the main topic of our conversation today is everyone's favorite position, the grinders, the ones who get mostly injured, the running backs. But we're talking rookies today, and I got three of my favorite dynasty analysts, in my opinion, here to talk about these guys. So but first we're gonna start with the news, and there wasn't that much news from last week. It was pretty much a plethora of things going on in the NFL, and this week was kind of dry. But the main source of topic was Sam Darnold finally getting traded from the New York Jets. Carolina Panthers gave up a 6th-round pick, a 2nd-round pick, and a 4th-round pick in 2022 just to acquire him. So, guys, what's your dynasty perspective for, I'll say, the Carolina Panthers? The Jets are kind of just a garbage can right now.
Definitely was interesting. I expected Sam Darnold to get traded at some point this offseason. Didn't expect it to be the Panthers. It definitely builds a new twist, especially for Sam Darnold. I know a lot of people are saying now he's under Adam Gase, things are going to be better. I mean, yeah, maybe that's the case. I mean, he's someone who, like a guy like Jalen Hurts, people were kind of criticizing his accuracy last year. It was really bad. I mean, Sam Darnold hasn't really been that good, been under 60% for his career, hasn't been able to play a full 16-game season. So it's really it's a risky move on Carolina's part because maybe he just doesn't have it. And we're just using that Adam Gase as leverage to have him do it. I mean, he has shown at times he can be really good, but I mean, he struggled under pressure a lot. His deep ball is kind of off at times. Again, he's been injured, and he's never completed over 20 touchdowns in a season. I don't care how bad you are in the Jets; it's pretty hard to do, I feel like. And I mean, in terms of redraft, I guess he's considered a sneaky late round pickup and see maybe if he can do something with this new look team in terms of dynasty. I mean, honestly, if you hold on to him, you're great. If you sell him, I think that's probably a better option overall, but I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's definitely interesting with Sam Darnold there now.
Chris, what's your opinion?
So this is a question that I wasn't prepared for, but I love it, man, because obviously Sam Darnold's been the hotness right now. I mean, the quarterback battle down there in Carolina is going to be pretty good because obviously Bridgewater doesn't want to give up the job, but they bring in Sam Darnold, who not only has connections with this team already, it's a little bit like my narrative street stuff that I always talk about on our show. The Fantasy First Rounders, check us out every Wednesday night at 7:30 Central. But Matt Rule was Robbie Anderson's coach in college, his number one guy, right? Sam Darnold went what Steven mentioned, has shown flashes of greatness with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson together have produced wide receiver number one numbers week in or week to week at some points, right? Now you get CMC, you get the Carolina defense, you get the Carolina O-line. You get rid of Curtis Samuel, but I believe that, Ian Thomas takes a step this year. And I think that Sam Darnold wins the starting role. Him and Robbie Anderson, Matt Rule, they get together and they have a great season with CMC.
Yeah, I agree. I like Sam Darnold. I think a lot of it had to do with just the Jets being really bad. And of course, Gase, which when he's not coaching Peyton Manning, I mean, ain't done a thing. I like it for Sam Darnold gets a new start. I actually like I think it helps DJ Moore a good bit with the short and intermediate stuff. With Darnold, honestly, I think it's an upgrade for the Panthers offense. And I'd have him probably as a back end quarterback 1 this year. He could be pushing for that.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. Just based off like Teddy Bridgewater's results from last year, like he wasn't anything special either. Like they compiled good stats. I wouldn't say good, but he threw almost near 4,000 yards, 3,733. But he only had 15 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Game manager. So Sam Darnold, like Brandon said, could be an upgrade, an unknown upgrade. So there's more upside than having Teddy Bridgewater in a long-term perspective, but still there's a competition to be had, and we'll see how that unfolds. But for now, he has a new fresh start.
Yeah. No. One more thing before
Go
we keep
ahead.
going. And like people talk about like Adam Gase, the whole situation there, and again that could be the case or not. But you also remember who was around him. I mean, his running backs those 3 years were Frank Gore. 1 year out, Le'Veon Bell at this point seems to be washed. And then Isaiah Correll, his first rookie year. I mean, those don't scream like running backs who can make a defense say, oh, I'm going to worry about these guys. I mean, even in terms of wide receivers, Jameson Crowder for 2 years and Robbie Anderson were his leading wide receivers. So give the kid actual weapons now. This could be a good situation for him. So, again, it's an okay option, but it's definitely comes with a risk.
I think everyone who's got him on their dynasty team right now is extremely happy.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
That was great.
Yeah.
And then some smaller news and some speculation with some of the NFL teams. The Falcons are looking to trade that 4th overall pick in the NFL draft. They seen what San Francisco could do with the Dolphins, so it's a definitely good play from Ryan Fitzpatrick. He says he's the QB1 now, but there will be competition, so that kind of gives room for Taylor Heineke, those guys. If you have them on your deep bench on your dynasty roster, look forward to that. Edelman, basically, he's kind of his knee shot, so he's not going to be honestly seeing a whole 16-game slate. So if you have him on your team, just beware. I think like the time's nigh. Like I think in our startup league, he went basically in the last round.
Yep.
So it ain't looking too prosperous for him, guys. Out. And then Anthony Miller, a former 2nd-round pick, the Bears were looking to trade him. There was some smoke last year in the trade deadline for him to be moved. He hasn't gotten moved yet, so just don't sour on Miller. Maybe he'll go into a more prosperous situation, guys. And then Jordan Howard, back with the Eagles, Brandon. How do you feel about that real quick? You heard it first, guys.
Veteran signing. That's all it is. It should be a good thing for Miles.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Steven hit it on the head for me. Like that's the best thing for Miles Sanders right there. Bring in Jordan Howard.
Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
They have rapport together, guys. You could probably say that. And then finally, Giovanni Bernard, my waiver wire hero. He got released by the Cincinnati Bengals, so that kind of gives leeway for Samaje Perine, who they just signed this offseason to get the second fiddle role. And then Travion Williams, obviously a guy who's been used sparingly. He could be a guy who could be up and coming because you always know Joe Mixon has been missing time year after year, but still a phenomenal player, intriguing buy, and we'll see how the Bengals come into fruition this year.
Yeah.
But
Gio, I wouldn't mind on the Eagles.
No.
I could see that as a decent signing. I know we have Boston Scott, but I mean, other than
It costs too much. He clearly was cut because he didn't want to take a pay cut. I don't think he takes a pay cut to go to Philly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think he gets signed at what he was signed to last year either. So, I mean, I could see it'd be interesting. It wouldn't be a bad signing as far as football terms go.
I just don't want him in the Texans' backfield. We got too many running backs already.
Come on, add another one back there. Why not?
I was joking around with Miles FF Peacock, and I was like, when we saw that, I was like, oh, great. The Texans probably sent an offer.
Or the 49ers, one of the two. So.
Yeah.
The Niners are bad.
But hopefully some of these rookies won't go to San Francisco since they have a plethora of running backs. But our meat and potatoes tonight, guys, the rookie running backs. Like, guys, like people want to get to know about that top three, the power three. People want to know, hey, where can I find like a mid-round guy that I could like capitalize on my second-round pick or so. So you guys are here to lead it the way. And the first guy of conversation, the obvious first pick, in my opinion, as well, it will be Najee Harris. So, Brandon, I'll let you go first. Tell us about Najee Harris. Tell me some elite things about him.
All right. What he does really well is he's shifty for his size. I mean, you're talking about he's an inch shorter than Derrick Henry. And what is it, like 10 pounds lighter? But he doesn't run like Henry. He doesn't have that same style where he runs upright and he's going to hit the hole and then he's going straight. But Najee Harris got a little bit of wiggle to him, and he can catch the ball really well out of the backfield. I like what he does in small spaces, and his contact balance is okay. It's not the best. You can see when he gets hit, he bobs around a lot, and he'll get hit and then not regain his balance right away and run into somebody else. His vision's good. At times it's weird because he'll run directly into a defender. Like he was trying to make a move, but he didn't know what to do, and he just runs straight into him. But other than that, I think he's the clear number one running back in this class.
All
right. Chris, what's your opinions and thoughts?
Shout out to Matt Donnelly, aka Dr. Dingus, in the chat, man. Love you, Donnelly. Golly, man. Yeah, like you mentioned, the big three. This is going to go pretty quickly, I would assume, between the big three. There's not been a better big three than the Pearson triplets off of This Is Us. So Najee Harris, my 1.01, a 6'2 senior out of Bama, man, Crimson Tide. Like Brandon mentioned, he's 230 pounds, ran a 4.45, clocked 40. What's really interesting about this cat, though, is, man, like Brandon mentioned about the going into somebody, right? And, probably making a miss. He's got the most forced fumbles with 128 out of the class. He ranks first in rushing touchdowns overall with 39. Najee actually owns the third highest PFF ranking as well at 93.3 for his rushing grade ability. Now, this is something super, super crazy. So a dominator ranking, like it sounds like what it is a dominator ranking. He's earned a 32% this past year. His predecessors, Josh Jacobs and Damian Harris, didn't leave Bama with higher than an 18%. So how crazy is that, what this guy can do? To Brandon's stats too, man, his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He caught 43 out of 53 targets, which is third in the nation this year at the running back position. And he only dropped one target, forced a career-high 22 missed tackles after the catch as well. Najee, in my mind, is just elite. He's got the frame. He's got everything you need. We don't need – I'm not going to go over the rest of his stats because they're just so phenomenal. But, third highest ranking from PFF. That's pretty good at 93.3.
All right. Well, Steve, I'll give you the last word, but I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
What would give me one ability that separates him from Travis Etienne?
I mean, his overall rushing ability, his patience his patience waiting for the holes to open up and everything like that. It's just top notch. I mean, it's part of the reason why I love him as my number one guy overall. And you could really say that he's, I'd say, close to on par, maybe not on the same level as Najee, but Travis Etienne in terms of receiving level, but he's right there. And I think that's something that can grow over time once he gets onto a team there and he can find his spot in this game here. Again, he's literally the complete package. He has to be the first running back off the board because he can do it all very well. And like I said, he's like that light version of Derrick Henry, but I think more versatile, honestly.
2.0, that's what we're going to call him. And
hey, what's up, Dave?
Hey, getting some love in the chat. Number 2, guys, the aforementioned Travis Etienne out of Clemson University. Steve, since you had the last word, I'll let you just kick it off.
Oh yeah, Travis Etienne. I mean, I love this kid. Again, the only thing you could really say about him that's not the best, and is why he would be considered maybe number 1 to some people or number 3 to somebody in our chat here at least. To me, it's the running. He was his efficiency with his carries was not as great as some of these other guys possibly. But one thing I like him about the most is, again, his receiving ability. I mean, it was amazing this past season here. I mean, he had 48 receptions this past year, almost 600 yards. I think if he finds himself on the right situation, he could be a guy who could seize like Alvin Kamara, like kind of receiving ability to his game. I mean, he's dangerous once you get into space. He looked not as fast as the prior year in 2019, which I really liked him to come out then. But I mean, he looked almost on notch. His ability to juke, make defenders miss, I love it a lot. And I have him at number 2. I think that his receiving game makes up for his rushing, not disabilities, but like just is not as great rushing compared to what some of these other guys might be. His receiving ability in this game, and now that this league's a receiving kind of passing game, that is just top notch, and that's why I love him at number 2.
Okay. Mr. Chris.
Man, so like Dave Dynasty Dork said in the chat, man, like the landing spot for ETN for me is 100% going to either determine if he's my 1A or my 1B, because that's where they sit right now with him and Najee. The ability from ETN is phenomenal, like Coach Steve said. And he got better as a receiver year in and year out. Now he did take a dip, right? But from the sample size in 2021 running backs class, right? If you go back to his junior year, because he's a senior, right? He had a 96.7 grade. He averaged 1,900 yards over his course at Clemson, man. The dude is phenomenal. I really don't like comping people to this guy just because Le'Veon Bell in my mind is so different. But I see ETN, I call him ET, like an alien, right? Because he has some of those abilities that I see. Now, can he do that in the NFL? Landing spot is going to be 100% for me, but that's why he gets my 1.02. He was also second in receptions at the back position, but first with 588. So his ability out of the backfield is really good. Like if he ends up in Arizona for me, dude, I'm taking him over Najee all day. I want the Cliff Kingsbury running back, and I mean, he's good. I mean, he's really good. 4.40. So that's really all I got on ETN, man.
I'll wrap it up, number 3.
All right. I have ETN at 3, not because I don't like him. I like the next guy more.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. ETN, it's funny that you say his rushing, Steve, because that was his main thing for the first 3 years. He was a really good runner, terrified to catch the ball. Like he said it. But this past season, he had 60 targets and caught 48 of them. He showed improvements in his receiving ability exponentially over the past 2 seasons. And I think part of the reason I have him at 3 is because I don't think he's going to end up being a 3-down back. And if Arizona's where he's been mocked to a lot, and that probably is his best fit with Edmonds there, I could think they're 2 similar type players. ETN's a little bit bigger, probably better running the ball than Edmonds is. But I think, of course, it's going to be landing spot dependent with him. But I don't know. He worries me a little bit.
It reminds me of Kenyon, a slightly better version of Kenyon Drake. Honestly, that's how I see him.
Yep. And that's even to say, like, his contact balance is the best in the class. Like, his is right up there with Kamara's. A lot of people would say that going into last season, that he gets hit, he just stays upright and runs right through it.
There's nothing wrong there at all. It's just like everyone has like a different kind of player that they like. Like I'm a wide receiver guy. I love guys who get a lot of targets. Running back guys, they like maybe guys who receive the ball, and then maybe the guys who love Henry, or maybe cough hate Henry, Coach Steve. But he's on train now after 2 years of dominance. But like it just all depends. Like I rather would have a running back that kind of profiles as a 3-down running back, but sometimes the traits and qualities you can't ignore with a guy like Travis's quality.
Mm-hmm.
But
And compared to the last class, this class does not have as many possible 3-down backs, but we have a lot of variances. So
and like some of these guys should have came out last year, but they chose to stay in school, and here's the benefits they reap.
Yep.
But this guy, like he's been getting so much hype. You see him like all over like the internet, Twitter sphere. The hype train has arrived, and he deserves every bit of it too. He's a quality player. Javonte Williams out of North Carolina, the University of North Carolina. But I think I have this wrong. I believe Brandon had him 2.
Yeah.
So tell me about Javonte. Tell me what's good with this hype. Why is the hype deserved?
Okay. Javonte is the running back I love the most. One that looks for contact, like Leonard Fournette when he was playing against the Steelers and he called who was it? One of the DBs on to hit him. That's because Javonte Williams was a linebacker when he arrived at UNC, converted to running back. He plays mean. And I don't know if it's just because I like defense or what, but I love running backs that aren't afraid of contact and will hit somebody. Now he's not going to break away 80-yard runs. That he's just not that. His top end speed isn't there, but he's going to grind out 10, 15, 20-yard runs regularly. His receiving is all right. He does he brings the ball to his body too much. He doesn't really catch with his hands, but I just love how mean he is when he runs. He wants to hit somebody. Now he may have a shorter career for that, but the guy's he's a really good running back.
Hey. Okay. I like that analysis right there. Chris, give me something good.
So shout out to Nick, P2W Fantasy Man. Love you, Nick. I think we're splitting hairs though, really, between these big, excluding Najee, right? These next 2 guys, I think they're, it's really splitting hairs because I agree with a lot of stuff that Brandon said. You look at, he split the backfield, right, with Michael Carter, but he's still average. Where is it at? The 6th in the class at 110 yards per game. Like that's all-purpose yards. Like that's crazy, but that lands him at number 6 overall. Some attributes for him. He had 75 missed tackles. That's 48% of missed tackles. So that's like a coin flip pretty much. Like, are you going to hit him? You're not going to hit him. That's like Derrick Henry-esque almost. Like Brandon said, he likes to hit people. He's 220 pounds, but runs a 4.55, obviously with the hand clock from the coach. But the second highest running grade from PFF this year, 95.9. There you go. With those limited touches. That's ridiculous what this kid can do. So we'll have to see where he lands. And, good things are, this kid is like Lil Wayne, no ceilings for him.
Hey, love it. Great mixtape throwback. Steve, finish him, as they say in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, these guys put a lot of great points out there about Javonte Williams. And again, it's really just splitting hairs, like Chris said. Like, it's just, to me, I think Travis Etienne has more of a home run threat compared to Williams has on a week-to-week basis with his abilities. He's gonna, he's not gonna like just let anyone just tackle him. He's gonna run people over and gain those extra yards. You saw what he was able to do on half the amount of carries. Imagine if he had the entire backfield to himself that year. That's what kind of brings you to his ability to say, well, what could he really do seeing 300 carries in a season here, or at least 250? The mind just explodes when you think about it. So again, to me, the only reason I have him at 3 is honestly, I like Travis Etienne's receiving value. Overall, I think Javonte Williams can be that. I just don't think that's going to be his main attributes in the NFL. I think it's going to be more running the ball than anything, and that's kind of why I have him sitting at 3. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think at this point, some people could say this is the cutoff at this point of the top elite running back at this point. And then after that, it's everyone likes who they kind of like at that point.
Agreed. So, based off of your last point, I guess we're gonna get into some uncharted territory. Just getting basically like you get into the 5 foot section of the pool, and the next player is Kenny Gainwell. Hopefully I said his name right. But Brandon, you have him 5, and I'm gonna save you for last again. Chris, we're gonna start you up.
That worked. I see how it is.
So Kenny Gainwell, man, Kenneth Gainwell. This is guy like I feel like this guy is every like analyst guy right now, just because one, he kept, Tony Pollard and Antonio Gibson off the field essentially. His denominator rank was 27%. Like I mentioned earlier with Josh Jacobs and Damian Harris, didn't leave Alabama with higher than an 18. So that's kind of my bar that I set when I look at that. He also leads the class in touches right now. In touches per game at 20.6. And that's crazy to think that he had those two guys there and he still leads this class as an average right over his years at Memphis. A 4'4", 240, 195 pounds. Fun fact about this cat, though, there's another guy that we'll talk about, I'm assuming later on, but he had 1,200 rushing yards and 1,200 rushing yards, 600 receiving yards. The last running back to do that, besides another guy that we'll probably talk about, was Saquon Barkley. Obviously not comping Saquon to Kenny Gainwell because Saquon's elite, but that's pretty phenomenal to do with that wildcat kind of offense in Memphis.
Interesting. Steve, tell me why Gainwell didn't make the cut for the top 3.
It's mostly due to his experience. He was a high school quarterback, dual threat high school quarterback coming out to Memphis, and then obviously he played barely his first year, and then obviously they call it a redshirt freshman year. He dominated. Again, that's just one season. He's got things to learn in terms of the running back position here. That's kind of why I wouldn't want to put him in that top 3 because these other guys have experience at the position while he has one full year. So I'd love to put him there. I think he could be there in terms of his talent. I mean, he's a guy who had over 50 receptions this past season. I kind of reminds me of Clyde Edwards-Helaire when he was coming out. Similar size. He has that receiving play to him. And again, kind of like Antonio Gibson last year, he was like, oh, he could have been a slot guy. He could be a running back. Gainwell kind of fits that same perspective a little bit there. He was using the slot many times at Memphis. He ran the ball really well. He's got pretty good vision. He's got great bursts coming out of the line there. Again, just to me, it's experience. And I don't want to fault somebody for having just 1 year of experience at a position. But again, there's things you need to learn in terms of that position there. And he's just not there yet. But if he can get into the right system and he can build his way up, kind of like Antonio Gibson did and kind of just learn into the position, he could be really great in this league. He could be someone like Antonio Gibson we're talking about next year as the guy who could be the real number 1 in their class. But because of his draft value, isn't there at the moment.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Just like because I feel like Antonio Gibson wasn't that high up on like the rookie like peg board last year, and for Gainwell to be considered a number 4 back, I think that's quite a feat for his lack of experience. But
we got a question.
Oh, okay, Luke. Pick 102, 104, and the 2-1 in a full PPR dynasty league. Oh wait.
Yep.
Oh, does you want to know who to pick?
I guess suggestions. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So guys,
anyone want to answer this? Go for it.
I'm gonna say if you're not quarterback poor, trade down, get some more assets. If you're running back poor, I'm looking at Najee at the 1.02. If it's a 1 quarterback league, I'm thinking if you didn't mention Superflex. At 1.02, yeah. I mean, if it's not Superflex, you're probably right. It's not a sexy pick at 1.04, but Kyle Pitts, any one of those receivers. Jamar Chase, obviously, at the 2.01. I'm looking at one of these running backs that we're about to talk about here in a little while. Stay tuned.
Yeah, listen in, Luke. I kind of agree with you, Chris. Unless you're in desperate need for a quarterback and it's a super flex league, you go with one of these top tier running backs at that number 2 spot. Either after that, obviously it's full point PPR, so definitely a wide receiver or Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
listen in, Luke.
Hard to go wrong with 2 top 4 picks. So, just take whoever's best available. Like the guy said, if you need a running back, take them 102. Or if you want to, take Chase, ensure that you get him at 102 and then wait and you can pick between ETN and Javonte Williams at the 104, whoever's left.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever's
I like
left,
the
just take
latter
whoever's left. I think you'll be okay with that too.
Okay, great analysis, guys. And Brandon, drink that haterade. Let's hear the.
All right, I think Gainwell has the most upside in this class. He's simply electric when he has the ball. I don't know about his measurables. He looks a lot smaller than what he weighed in at his pro day at 201 pounds. He looks a lot smaller than that, and he looks shorter, which I don't really care about his height too much. I mean, Devontae Williams was 5'8". But I like his receiving ability, and his rushing ability is nice. I don't ever see him being a 3-down back. He goes down on first contact way too often for me to like that. I think he's going to be more of a gadget guy. Close to, I know some people say James White, but that could be somewhat okay. Even maybe a Myles Gaskin with a little bit more receiving game to him. But after the top 3 is kind of whoever you like or see and you like them more.
Well, understood. A lot of this comes with landing spots too. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire was an afterthought last year, and he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
We were all like kissing on Jonathan Taylor's boots before that happened.
It was.
Guess what? It's all predicated. So, Brandon, your number 4 is Michael Carter. Tell me why you love this man.
Absolutely love Michael Carter. He reminds me of Darren Sproles, but better. Oh. He's stocky. He's 5'8", and people are like, "Oh, he's so short," and I'm like, and he's small. Man, like I said earlier, Devontae Freeman was 5'8". You don't have to be a huge running back to, succeed in the NFL. He is electric. I mean, you're talking about he had multiple 300-yard games in his career. He had one last year. He's my favorite guy to watch on tape. He finds the holes and he hits them, and his shiftiness is out of this world. I would like him to work on, catching with his hands a little bit more, because I think he could be a really good receiving back. Yeah, he's my top guy out of the top 3. And honestly, he was close to going to number 3 over ETN.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Wow. Wait, so
Yeah.
you're telling me North Carolina has 2 running backs going in like the top 5?
Yeah. They were insane. And the thing is, what's crazy is North Carolina's O-line was ranked, I think it was 102nd in the country last year. And yet Javonte Williams and Michael Carter put up the seasons that they did.
Unbelievable.
Those 2 running backs, they could be special.
There's some stats to know right there. All right, guys. Steve, so I seem you're kind of aligned with Brandon's takes a little bit less, but tell me a little bit more about Mr. Michael Carter.
Yeah, I'll go real quick on this. I mean, Brandon said a lot of great things about him already. I mean, one of the best things I love about him, his vision is terrific. He's got a great burst. Someone who can get to the outside. He can run good inside, but he can definitely run to the outside so much better with his speed and the production he did, again, like Javonte Williams on half his carries was tremendous. And for me, The only thing I don't like, I just don't see him being a 3-down back, kind of what Brandon said about Kenny Gainwell. I don't see him actually being a guy who can eat the carries and gain the little yards you need on a play-to-play basis here. He's more of a big playability, kind of like CJ Spiller to some extent when he was in the league there. Wasn't a guy who could really rely on to have like a 250 carry season, but you gave him 150 carries, he's going to explode with those carries, and that's kind of why I have him there sitting at 5. I just like, I guess, Gainwell's, passing ability a little bit better, kind of why I have him sitting above him. But Michael Carter, again, another guy I think who's still in that somewhat really great tier of running backs right here, is where it kind of cuts off a little bit. Everything else I think is mixture. This is the end right here for me. I like Michael Carter a lot still.
Okay. Showing UNC some love. Unlike Chris over here, got him buried. Okay.
Terrible.
So I think you must like someone a little bit more that we're going to get into, but tell me why 7.
So, kind of like Steven said, like this is kind of the cutoff for him. Like these guys are all jumbled together for me down in this bottom tier or middle tier, I guess. And I do like a couple guys a lot better than Michael Carter. We'll talk about that later. But for me, man, Michael Carter, the 4.5 40 and sitting about 200 pounds, I just don't understand. But, he could be a freak. What I did see, though, he did split carries, obviously, but he was the 10th in the class in overall touches by average, 7th in the class by yards per game, but he was in the bottom half. And here's the thing, though, right? Like those numbers are pretty good, right? When you compare him, though, he's in the bottom half in yards per attempt in the class. So I wasn't that impressed with him. Obviously, I think the last time I was on here, we talked quarterbacks, and I changed my rankings mid-show. So this could be one of those guys that kind of moves for me. And landing spot obviously is going to be a big deal, but I'm just not that high on Michael Carter. So sorry.
No, don't be sorry, man. Everyone has their opinion.
Yeah, man, you need some disagreements in here. I know.
Yeah, sometimes you're just wrong. I mean,
sometimes you're just wrong. Okay.
Hey, I'll always admit when I am wrong. I mean, how many times I talked to y'all about Ty God last year, and now I'm getting the same emotions right now with my Houston Texans. So I will always admit when I'm wrong, Brandon. Don't get me wrong on that.
I'll let you know it too every single time, man.
All right, so we're gonna just basically do a check on maybe mid-season on Michael Carter, and then
when he's James Robinson me up the butt right now, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, oh God, Michael Carter, stop it.
Yeah. And the next guy will be, is it Chuba Hubbard? Chuba Hubbard. And Chris apparently loves this guy, guys. So let's go. I knew this, like I watched a couple games throughout like maybe the last 2 seasons, and I knew he was a highly sought out guy last year, and then it seems this year he kind of just fell off the face of the earth production wise. So I know he has some talent, but I know just the analysts and the community probably kind of soured on him due to his performance. So, Chris, you got a lot of explaining to do.
So, first and foremost, I'm always like, I love the numbers, I love the analytics, but more than that to me, man, I love the narrative. The dudes from Canada played in the frozen tundra above the wall in Game of Thrones. I'm talking about against the White Walkers. Frozen tundra, Chuba Hubbard comes down to OSU, gets clocked at a 4. His best time was a sub 4.3, so 4.36. His sophomore year is what we're really looking at, because that's what I'm looking at, his 2019 campaign versus his 2020 campaign. 2020 campaign, I'm going to chalk that up to him being injured and playing through the pain. Obviously, there was some off-the-field issues between him and his coach from what happened. I'm not going to take all that 2020 season. I'm going to throw that out the window, because 2019, he was phenomenal, man. In 2019, he was essentially the best running back in the nation. He rushed for over 2,000 yards on 328 carries. Like Jonathan Taylor was like, dang, that's what I'm going to start doing that. And then he did, right? When a running back gets this kind of workload in college, that means that he can handle the ability. I think that 2020 season with the ankle injury was an outlier. He had a 30% dominator rating at 5.51 yards per snap, which led the college football nation at running back position. When you look at his total numbers, he is second in the class with close to 4,000 yards. He's almost at 100 yards per game, including that 2020 season that we're always going to go back to. Here's something great, though. He is third in the class at total touchdowns, and he didn't even play the entire 2020 season with 46 touchdowns. So Chuba Hubbard, man, I love the narrative behind him. I love the Canadian football player coming down here. I would love to see him in Buffalo and just run it over. You know what I'm saying? So Chuba Hubbard, let's go, man. This is the guy that I'm super excited on. And Luke, at that 2.01, I'm going to put my pin in it. If this guy's there, go take him.
Oof.
Right.
That Buffalo landing spot makes me kind of queasy, though. I can't do another running back there. Coach Steve, tell me about that man.
Yeah, Hubbard's definitely an interesting one because you have to look at his 2019 film and say, wow, like it was fantastic. And then you look at part of his 2020 film, and again, injuries, offseason concerns. Yeah, some of that might have had to do with his overall, play. But watching the film, and like I said, I'm a big film person. There's just things that like his vision at times compared to last year, it just didn't see the same explosiveness and burst. And when he was behind the line there, and for some reason, again, 8 receptions. I mean, he might have been banged up a little bit, but like, come on, he's probably one of the best players on Oklahoma State last year, and you give him 8 receptions in 7 games he played in. There's something there. Again, it could be the injuries and whatnot, but I'm concerned that like that one season was maybe a fluke. And I hate to say that about a player because he ran for 300 yards. He had 300 carries that season. But I kind of had him out there at 7 right now because I think he could be a guy who shoots up in this class given the right situation. But if he doesn't get into the right situation, and again, you can say that about a lot of these guys, but I think him in particular, if he like happens to be buried behind someone, I just don't think his value gets to where we want it to be there. And it's kind of why I have him sitting at 7. I like him, but there's just some question marks I have with him getting to the next level.
Yeah, I agree. In the offseason last year, during the summer, we were doing Campus to Canton League startups, which is basically Debbie on steroids, if you don't know what it is. He was going 2nd round in the startup drafts for the college side. We did one midseason, and he slipped all the way to the 7th round. A lot of people were really down on him during the season, and I could see why. I mean, outside of the Oklahoma game, his offense was outstanding. I mean, they ranked number 18 in the nation last season. Now Oklahoma game, they got absolutely torn up. I mean, Chuba had nowhere to go. I like his long speed. I'm concerned about his vision and his power. And I think he could be a really good return guy, maybe a special teams guy in the NFL. And maybe due to a couple injuries, he gets an opportunity and maybe he'll, shine then. But I don't see a whole lot of upside with him.
I just have one question for you guys. So what was this injury that he was hampered with?
Christina?
So I believe it was like I forgot what leg it was. Don't quote me on that, but it was an ankle injury. He nursed it. It's kind of like, I feel like in my mind, he's like Josh Jacobs. He doesn't say that he's hurt or not. He just plays through the pain. Almost Kyler Murray-esque as well. I just think that's why he had that bunk 2020 season.
Okay.
But also, like I mentioned earlier, the off the field issues too. I mean, he was very vocal about his head coach, things like that he didn't want to play there. So that could be it too. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not in his head. So there's a lot of factors in that 2020 season.
Oh, I like the range of possibilities with this guy though. So this is a guy actually all you guys agreed on. So we're gonna have some happy conversation and kumbaya and all that good stuff. So Jamar Jefferson, you guys all have him 8th. Steve, I'll let you just go first. What you got on this guy? Give me a scouting report.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, it might not all be good. Who knows? I mean, Jefferson, he's a guy, a very patient runner. He's got pretty good vision. He's kind of a guy who just has kind of good traits all around. He can definitely make defenders miss. He's got some pretty good footwork. I like his hands. in the receiving game. Again, he didn't see too many receptions this past year, but he's got some traits that I really like about him. But he isn't going to be someone who takes the long runs. He's going to be a pile mover. Again, he'll make defenders miss, but if a defender gets to him, he'll go down pretty easily. He's just a solid overall runner, and the fact that he's kind of missed some games the past couple of seasons here, I believe it was to injury, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely have concern about his injury relatedness, but if he's healthy, he's got a lot of good traits. Not great, but pretty good. Just good traits, not pretty good. Just good traits that I kind of liked in him that I think could make him somewhat valuable for an NFL team.
Brandon, what you got for me?
Yeah, like what Steve said, he's all right. At a lot of stuff. I don't think his speed is where it should be for a guy his size. I don't like how he runs upright into contact so often. With him being a smaller guy, I'd like to see him get down and, take on the contact instead of just getting hit in the chin every time. But I think, Twitter about had a cow with this guy over the past few months. I was waiting for him to be the running back one of this class with some of the reactions people were saying. But he's all right. I'm a little bit, I guess we all are a little down on him compared to everybody else. But I don't think he's anything special.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hype him up just a little bit because I totally agree with everything y'all said. Like, he's not very special in my mind. He does have a couple things when you nitpick and cherry pick things. Like, he had 133 carries for 856 yards, weeks 10 through 16 for the college season, which ranks second in the nation. So he has shown spurts of flashes of greatness. He can do it all, like you guys said. He's just not elite in any of these categories. So there, in my mind, like a super solid, like, backup, you know what I'm saying? Like running back 2, running back like Kyle Shanahan, he's probably got this guy on his board. He's like, I'm gonna get this guy at some point. So go Oregon State. He ran a 4.68 40, so like it's one of the worst in the class actually. So maybe he's the only true 40 out there, but yeah.
All right, guys. So on to the next one. Is it Kylan Hill? Steve, you seem to be the super fan, the cape wearer of the guy. You have him ranked 6, and we've been talking about these other guys, and you haven't been so optimistic on them. So you got to give me a really good reason why you have him 6.
Yeah, this is going to be my Keyshawn Vaughn of 2021, I feel like. But Colin Hill, I love this game. When I watched this film, I was like, wow, this kid can be really good. Very patient runner. He got great footwork. Oops, sorry, guys. Freaking messages coming in here. Outstanding blocker, and I think that's one of his, not his best trait, but I think a quality trait that an NFL team will really like. Can see the blitz coming. I think he's a pretty strong pass catcher. I mean, he played 3 games last year. He had 23 receptions. It's ridiculous in just 3 games. Again, he's strong. He's a strong pass catcher. He isn't going to run anybody over, but he'll leap them. He's very athletic. He'll juke them out of the way. And, again, last year his running wasn't as great, only at 3.9 yards per carry. But the prior 2 years, I mean, he was over 5. This junior season, he had, 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. And didn't have as many receptions, but it seems like, he worked on that this offseason here, and, 23 receptions for 200 yards in just 3 games. I think that's pretty impressive overall. I really like what he's able to do on the field there, and I like him at 6. I think he could be a sleeper in this draft here that many people probably, some of you guys have much lower or outside their top 10 and all together, but he's someone who can be really, really good in the NFL.
Okay. You gave me some good reasons. Definitely a guy I'll look into in the later rounds if he's not highly touted. But Brandon, you seem to be the middleman, so I'll let you give that second take.
Yeah, he had a bunch of receptions this year. He had 15 in one game.
Yes,
and I think he can be more of a power guy in the NFL, and obviously he can catch the ball. I mean, you don't get 15 receptions on accident. He's definitely shifty, and in the Senior Bowl, the players voted him the best running back at the Senior Bowl. Which, I mean, it is what it is. I think he's got some good upside. Honestly, I should have him ranked a little bit higher than I do. I'd probably have him at 8 over Jefferson. I think he's got some upside to him. I think out of these later guys, he's one that I wouldn't be mad at somebody taking in, the middle of the second round if landing spot is good.
All right. And the guy who just totally forgot about him, Chris.
I don't know if I totally forgot about him. He's ranked 11 for me. Obviously, he's an SEC guy. Mississippi State 4.51. I mean, I watched a lot of his play. He just didn't get a lot of usage for me, except for in his last season. He had 260 total touches, which actually led the class altogether. To Steve's, Coach Steve's point, he does have the versatile running. He's patient. He does watch for these things. But, I mean, does that transition that well when you're playing against like Vanderbilt and, some of these teams versus the NFL speed? I just don't know. So I like a lot of guys a lot better. Obviously, I've seen a lot of his film because he's an SEC guy, like I mentioned, but his total touches for me, man, altogether out of this class was bottom half. Obviously, he didn't get a lot, but he had 15 receptions in one game. In his career, last career, he had 7.7 receptions per game with only one touchdown. So, I mean, I kind of want to fade him for that.
I understand. This is very good points, Chris. And on to the next one. Ramondre Stevenson. So, yeah.
Who are y'all watching?
So, I seen a little bit of buzz about this guy on Twitter, and when I looked at the list, I was surprised he was so low based off some of the names I know. And Brandon, so the other guys don't have him ranked, and apparently you're gonna have to be the guy who gives us to shun these guys. Tell them why they're like crazy.
Let me tell you something. All right, hold on. I got to get ready.
Yeah.
Stevenson, he's okay. What I didn't like about him was that he was 247 pounds last year. And you could tell by the way he ran. But it was almost as if his speed helped him with his vision. He's patient in the backfield, which I really like. He reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell that way. Not as patient, but he'll wait for the hole to open, and he will run through somebody in a heartbeat, which, once again, like I have Javonte Williams at 2. I love that. Like, I just love running backs being physical. He actually can catch the ball a little bit. He's not going to be ETN where he's catching 50 balls a year, but he could get 20, 25 receptions a year and a couple touchdowns. He dropped some weight going into his pro day, which was a good thing, and in the Senior Bowl, and he looked a good bit faster, which was good. And that's part of the reason he moved up my board a good bit. And if he gets a landing spot like the Steelers, oh my God. I'm taking him 101. I mean, it just is what it is.
What's bold take?
I love it. I love it. You pull up on that all day.
Almost that is how.
So, guys, since you guys don't have him ranked, just give me any little bit of knowledge you have on the player.
He reminds me of Jaworski Lane, if y'all know who that is, the old A&M player, 250-pound running back. I mean, he had 193 touches total, which is the least in the class. 10.2 touches per game. Obviously, he's like a big vulture, right? You're gonna probably put him in the red zone. But when I'm looking at PPR formatting, dynasty stuff like that, there's other guys that I want to take a flyer on in this kind of range, because in a PPR per game sense, he only had 13.4 points per game. That's not winning me any sort of championship. So that's what I want. I want to win some championships, as y'all know.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to win you every championship you ever play in.
That's fair. I'll trade him to you every day, then, baby.
Thank God I play in almost all my leagues with Brandon, so you pick him up everywhere, man.
Yeah, it looks like I'll be having a lot of
I
shares.
love it.
If it helps, I have him at 11, so I'm not like out on him. I do like his abilities. It's just that like the speed isn't there for me. Like if he doesn't like run people over, he's not going to make them miss. So that could just kind of cut his career a little shorter on that, to be honest. I know he's dealt with some off the field issues. I didn't read too much into it, and he still needs to work in the passing game. So to me, he's almost like a 2-down back. I don't know if he's going to be a 3-down back in this league. And I just, unless he ends up in the perfect situation, I just don't see him being a true talent that's going to, flourish in the NFL. Unless he ends up, like you said, the Steelers, that might be a different story. But if he ends up as a backup role to somebody, I don't know if he's ever going to takes that next level.
And I had him at 12 I had him ranked. He was at 12 for me, but I was, I guess, the lowest. So
yeah, too low.
All right. Well, you're rolling low on this guy, Chris. Trey Sermon. Where does he play? Oklahoma?
The Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State University. Sorry, my bad, Cowboys.
You're fine.
But you have him 6. We'll let you get into him first. Like I've seen a little bit of him. He looks like a good player, but it seems like Steve and Brandon kind of disagree comparatively to the other players.
It's one of those guys that I'm really high on. Like I mentioned earlier to you guys, OU. He played 3 years at Oklahoma, so I watched every one of his games because my brother-in-law is a OU alum. And Trey Sermon, man, like I love the ability. I love the want. He has that Jalen Hurts type of want to win and get better and better. That's why he left Oklahoma to go get a big workload somewhere in the Big Ten, right? So he ran a 4.58 40. Some good intangibles about this kid, man. He averaged 7.1 yards per carry with 17 broken tackles on just 54 attempts. That's lightning in a bottle, man. In 2020, when he was at The Ohio State, he rushed for 640 yards, 9 yards a clip, and had a 30% missed tackle rating. Like, that's 1/3, man. Come on, let's go with it. He has the 7th ranked highest ever PFF rushing grade since 2018 at 93.9. Lights out, man. 503 total touches. I mean, we're talking 3,500 yards per season. 29 total touchdowns. His scrimmage touchdowns per game is better than 0.64. I mean, that's ridiculous when you're looking at a touchdown rate per game. His PPR total points, I mean, close to 600. So I love me some Trey Sermon, man. This is one of those guys that I might eat crow on, but I'm going to be reaching for this guy really, really high in most rookie drafts. So I hate that I'm in a league with you guys and I'm giving you these guys that I'm going to take early,
All yours. Take them.
Hey, Brandon, Stevenson Sermon bet between you and me.
Ooh. Oh,
you're on mute.
You're on mute.
I said, let's do it.
Woo! Let's go. All right.
I'm down.
We'll talk about it after your show, but I'm in on it. Let's do it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, since you got the bet, you finished the second statement, Brandon.
All right. Sermon's just a guy I didn't see enough of. I wish I would have seen more at Oklahoma. I don't know what Ohio State was doing having Master Teague out there ahead of Sermon. You could see when Sermon got on the field, he was the better running back by miles. That he's actually number 11 for me, and he could easily move up. I just wish I would have seen more is the issue, and I want to see what his draft capital is because I don't know if he's going to go, day 2. He's probably most likely a day 3 pick just because of his little usage. But I think he's definitely got a good amount of upside. And if there were anybody, that you're going to be able to get in the middle 3rd round of rookie drafts that's going to end up having a starting job, it'll be Sermon.
Yeah, everyone's kind of made their points on both sides there. I mean, I think I have him at 12. I'm just not as high on him. Like Brandon said, there's things to be left to desire still. I mean, to me, the only thing I didn't like too much was I didn't see the speed in him. I feel like he's like really good at the quick short area game, but the long speed it wasn't there for me. See him kind of being more of that, elite runner. And he does some really cool things. He does a lot of good things, I think. There's a chance that he could do more, which I do like about him, but there's things left to be desired with him, and that's kind of why I left him off my list right now.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my dude Billy.
Bringing in all the guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're getting into like no man's land when we're talking into that top 12, top 14-ish range. But Jarrett Patterson, Steve and Chris have him at 9. Brandon probably doesn't have him ranked, but Brandon, I like that smug no.
Wow.
Tell me why you don't have him ranked.
All right. He was the best college running back. Like, talk about 300-yard gains. I mean, he was insane, but he looks slow as can be, and he's small. He played at Buffalo. I don't see a role for him in the NFL. He was great on my college team. I mean, he won me the championship on my college team, but I don't see him doing anything in the NFL.
No translation. Okay. Steve, I didn't like that nod you gave there, so tell me why Brandon doesn't think he could translate to the NFL. You think he could have a role? Give me a destination.
Oof, that's a tough one, honestly. I mean, honestly, I can't think of a great role right now for him. And I guess maybe that's the bad thing about him right now. I mean, I have him at 9, so I'm not super duper high on him because, like Brandon said, there are things there like the speed and, things like that. That definitely knocks him down. But things that I do like about him really is that he's got probably one of the best visions in this class year. Probably one of the better ball carriers just on the 2-down back. And again, he's probably going to be a 2-down back in this league. And I can't think of honestly a running back that's a 2-down back that's his size right now. But I think he can find himself some kind of role on an offense here. He's really aggressive towards defenders. Again, he's patient. He kind of can slide off defenders and kind of gain those extra yards. He's just kind of that 2-down back that a team may like to kind of use on short yard situations or as kind of like a compliment to someone who's a little bit more faster in the league right now. Again, it wasn't too much I like about him. I just loved him as his ability to run the ball and his vision kind of stood out to me, to be honest.
Saints.
Ooh.
Murray's getting old.
I like that. I don't hate that. What's going on?
Hey, what up? Okay. And then
I like that. This is a great pick.
Chris.
So there's a few moments like in everyone's life that you remember where you remember everything, right? For me, there's a couple moments. One being like 9/11, right? I remember everything to a T, where I was at, what I was doing, what everything, the colors, everything like that. Well, Jarrett Patterson, he was another one of those moments in my life because I'm such a football nut, right? And I know that's crazy to say, like, compare those things, and they're not comparable, but this is because I'm a football nut and I'm silly like that. Like my wife says I'm a degenerate, so let's go. But like Jarrett Patterson, I remember it was Thanksgiving and he was playing in that Buffalo game, and that was the game that he had the 8 touchdowns in. I keep getting things like Jarrett Patterson scores a touchdown. Okay, cool. 3 touchdowns. I'm like, okay, look, what's going on? Because we're watching NFL football, right? We're playing DFS. I'm eating turkey. It's all getting crazy, right? And he gets to 5, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I pull him up, and I'm watching it on my phone. I'm like, this dude just won't stop. And that was the moment where I was like, I got to do research on this guy. That's why I have him at number 9. Jarrett Patterson, this was one of the guys I was so ready for the pro day, and he turns out and runs a 4.38 40. Absolutely crazy. Played 3 seasons in a row to have 1,000 rushing yards total, a 40 and a 43% dominator rating from PFF. That's super crazy. He leads the FBS in 3.51 yards per touch and had a 93% rank or 93 ranking out of PFF. like Brandon said, man, he won you your championships if you had him. He leads the class in touches per game. He's only one of the 3 backs to break 4,000 yards total. A 1.6 touchdown per game. Like, you can count on 2 touchdowns from this guy essentially per game. Yeah, he's number 9 for me, but these top 10 guys out of Najee and then the other guys, like, come on, this guy's got some upside to him. So this guy could be someone that I'm looking at in like the 3rd, 4th round of rookie drafts.
Oh, that's a nice gym down there. I want to keep an eye on him.
Not better than I did.
Straight dominance. And we're going to go next to Puka Williams. And Steve, you have him 10, and everyone else has him 11th on the chart. But
I have him at 16 for me. I'm sorry, Puka. I'm sorry, man.
I called him up. He said it's fine. Yeah, these next 3 players we all have as our 10th pick here, and so again, it's a crapshoot at this point. Once you get past like 7, whatever, it's mostly a crapshoot. But with Puka, what I really liked about his game was that, again, a lot of these running backs are patient, but I feel he had the talent to kind of stop and go. He'd stop and he just turn it on and go. He's got a receiving ability to his game there. Again, didn't really show much this past season here. I only had 6 receptions, but the prior 2 seasons, he combined for over 60 receptions or for 60 receptions. Got good vision, good blocking ability to him. Someone who can get to the outside real quickly. Again, this past season, he didn't really do that well. I mean, 3.8 yards per carry, but he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. You could kind of say, he kind of regressed over his 3 seasons there, and he kind of did. But there's some talent there that I think might need to be just reworked on with a good coaching staff, and he could be somewhat valuable for an NFL roster. So it's kind of why I like him.
Chris?
So I guess it might just go back to my disdain for Kansas City, or not Kansas City, I'm sorry, for Kansas, because when I went to A&M, we were in the Big 12, always play against Kansas, so it could be one of those things, like, I'm never going to rate Sam Ehlinger high. He's last, no matter what, so this could be one of those types of things. I mean, the dude runs a 4.3 40, so that's really good, right? The one thing that I really, it's a size for me, man, like, I just see him, like, as a, I don't want to compare him to James White because he's a little bit more athletic than that, I believe. But I just can't see this guy being that huge of an asset for me on my fantasy teams. For me, he's going to be a better football player than he is a fantasy asset.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, my comp for him is Darnell Pumphrey. I mean,
oh wow.
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah, you remember him.
Yeah.
I don't think he goes in the 4th round because Howie Roseman, I mean, if he drafts him, then I don't even want to get into that. But he's probably a 6th, 7th round guy in the draft. He's going to struggle to he's going to struggle to make a roster. I think if he does, it's going to be on special team. And like you said, his size, he's a small guy.
Okay. So that ends the Puka Williams conversation. And we're going to go to Khalid Herbert. Chris is number 10. So we'll lead you off on that one.
So, I'm kicking it off?
Yeah,
yep.
You're 10.
Yep. So senior out of Vodtech, man, a 4.46 40, got, a 212-ish frame on him. I really like him. I like that he tied Jarrett Patterson in leading rushes after contact. So he likes to get, he goes and he goes and doesn't run away from defenders. He has a 4.74 after contact, which tied with Jarrett Patterson, like I meant, leads this class. Excluding Najee, obviously. Najee is an absolute beast. But he has great work as a pass catcher as well. 19.9 yards per reception, which was the highest rank out of all these backs. He's a little older. He's like at the Keyshawn Vaughn oldest, he's like 22, 23. By the time the draft happens, he might be like close to, or next season, he might be like 24 type thing. So that could be an issue. But I mean, for my dynasty team, if I'm going to take a flyer on this guy, I'm worried about the, just where his landing spot is. I think he's got potential. What I would like to see, I think I saw it on Twitter and I was like, damn, I'm going to run with that too, is the Chargers. And all we have to hear is Herbert to Herbert all day. That's what I want. I'm good with that.
I'll pick the wrong Herbert.
Steve.
Yeah, I actually have him at 15 or 16 right now myself. To me, it's the age. What I saw in his pass blocking was very poor. I didn't like it at all. To me, I feel like that will keep him off from having a role in the passing game, even though he did good on the receptions he did have. I think he's more of that 2-down back there. But again, there were some cool things about him. But to me, he wasn't someone I could see as a top 10 guy right now.
Yeah, I think he does a lot of stuff well. He's not really good at he's not great at any one thing. He reminds me a lot of David Montgomery, but not as good. Where he's all right. I don't think he's gonna be anything special. I mean, yeah, I don't he's probably an undrafted guy. Maybe you can pick him up in the late 4th round of your rookie drafts.
I like it. Hey, man, I know it's getting pretty deep down here. You really can't sell shit, for a better lack of term. But so
I'm
we'll
sure
finish
a lot of these players here
yeah.
are all over the place at this point for all of us.
For sure. So we'll kick it off with the last guy, and it's Brandon's guy, Elijah Mitchell from Louisiana, Lafayette University.
Cajuns.
Yeah, Raging Cajuns. So tell me why you got him 10 and why you love him.
I know Twitter's been jumping aboard his train here lately. I was watching. Oh, I forgot his name. It was the other running back at Louisiana, and Mitchell jumped out at me. He's definitely a speed guy, but he's got a little bit of power to him. I could see. I mean, he's 10 just because I think he has a shot at earning a starting role at some point down the road, maybe whether it be next year or the year after that, due to injury. And I think he could be a decent flex guy if that were to happen. He's somebody I'd hold on my taxi, just see what happens with him.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's all about growth and prosperity when you're trying to build that dynasty roster. Chris?
So, this is a guy that I've seen a little bit of, the Raging Cajuns, like I mentioned, man. I love all these Louisiana schools that are so close to us here in College Station. But, I mean, if there's one guy that's going to be like the undrafted free agent, phenom, top 10, Robinson-esque guy, it's probably going to be Mitchell. The fastest in the class, a 4.3 240. That's lightning, right? That's extremely good. He did have, he also was one of the only backs in the class to go close to 100 yards, and he's 3rd in the class at 46 scrimmage touchdowns. This is just a guy that I've got at 13 right now, just because I like some of the other guys a little bit better. He's 220 pounds wet. It's one of the small school type things for me, man. I just gotta, who did he play? So that's one of my things. I'm an SEC guy. I want to see the best against the best. Granted, when you are the best, you dominate bad teams, which he, didn't do immaculately, but he did well. So it comes in for 13 for me.
Okay, I like that. Steve, bring us in. Yeah, you're muted.
I have him down at 19, honestly. I wasn't a big fan of his game when watching it. I honestly like his teammate better, Trey Regis. I like him way better than Mitchell. To me, he's got speed to him off his 40, but he didn't look explosive when he was on the field there. And when it comes to I feel like he needs to have a bigger workload to actually really do something consistently. I feel like if you're giving him 4 or 5 carries a game, I don't think he's going to do a lot with them. I think he needs to have that higher workload personally, honestly, to really do something. And maybe if he gets that starting role somewhere out of nowhere, like our James Robinson, maybe he does something then. But it's only then, and that's kind of why I'm not a huge fan of his overall game.
All right. Well, that was it, guys. That was basically your top 10 rookies and beyond. I believe we gave you 14, I guess, prospects that you're going to be looking forward in your drafts upcoming,
That's
hopefully
great.
next
I
month.
mean, you gotta get those deep dives, man, with these rookie class. I love like obvious, awesome.
Everyone give a quick deep dive. Just name a player that you like that's down there.
Yeah, one honorable mention.
One honorable mention. Just one player, real quick.
Jared Dokes. He's
Spencer Brown.
Yeah, Spencer Brown. I like him.
So I'm gonna go Javian Hawkins out of Louisville, man. 4.36 40, 0 drops on 21 career targets. I mean, the dude's perfection. I like him. Only a sophomore, less than 200 pounds, but this is the guy that I'm really looking at. Late, like picking up, Mr. Irrelevant.
Okay. All right, so just basically recap. We went over the top 3: Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams. These are the guys you kind of want to not miss. We had a debate against Michael Carter and Chuba Hubbard. People taking sides on that one, then followed up with some lower tier players. But there's a nice little brewing bet with Ramondre Stevenson and Trey Sermon between Coach Brandon and Chris over there. And then we got into some lowly touted players, but these guys could make some impact on a team or maybe for your roster, not soon, but later. So you guys could find these guys late rounds or even try to pick them up after your rookie drafts are over when waivers run. So, guys, it was a great episode. You could definitely find us at the Fantasy Coaches, but let me go down the list. Chris, tell them where you could find or where they could find you, and hopefully your Twitter handle didn't change.
The new home.
Yeah. So first and foremost, everyone who is not following the Fantasy Coaches, man, when I came into Fantasy Twitter a year ago, essentially these guys helped me get a platform and helped me get a guest spot, and we just we jive, man. We've been in leagues together over the course of the year, doing a dynasty league together now. So go follow all these guys, man. Every time they put out something, I want to read it because I know it's quality work. I always read their stuff. You got to do it because you just can't, go in the motions. You got to read the guys that you like. And I really like everything that Steven Gibbs, Brandon, you two, man, one of the newest coaches, man. I've been reading all your stuff. I absolutely love it. So follow all these guys. You can follow me at Aggie Kappa Sig. My handle didn't change. I'm going to keep it in. I've had it since 2011. Come check us out. The Fantasy First Rounders live every Wednesday. We haven't changed. Same time, same place. Just a new upgrade, man. My boy Billy Witt co-host. You got Ryan and Tom as well, man. At BWitt24, man. They're giving you the tight end knowledge that I don't have. So come check us out. Obviously, everything at the Rum Boys is blowing up. You got to get hashtag free Robbie, FFP clock management. Guys, download the Sports Me app. It's super fun. Me and Steven are on it. Often Billy's on it. You go in there and just instantly battle somebody. Like we could have done that between me and Brandon, between Sermon and Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? So blessed with the best, essentially. And thank you guys for having me on yet again.
You're on mute, Jibs.
Lovely.
Appreciate it.
Lovely music. Chris, sorry, I'm all sleepy. Brandon, tell the listeners where they can follow you on Twitter.
You can follow me at Brandon Cook FF. I had my first article drop on Dynasty Nerds this morning. It's a Kendall Milton player profile. Go check that out. And yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, definitely, guys playing in Dynasty. Check out Dynasty Nerds. Fabulous tools, fabulous articles. They have everything you need there. Trade calculators and all. Steve, I'll let you rip it off, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you, Jibs. Great job hosting again, my friend. Appreciate that. Again, Chris, thank you so much for jumping on again, my friend. This was always fun having you on here. Love talking with you. Brandon, as always, you seem like a regular now on our rookie talk at this point. I won't be surprised if you're on next week. But as always, guys, please go follow us on Twitter at Coaches Fantasy. You can always check our website at www.thefantasycoaches.com. You can follow me at Coach Stephen P.
Hot Take Honcho on Twitter.
So we thank you all for listening tonight and hope you guys enjoyed this rookie breakdown. We'll be back next week to talk rookie wide receiver. So thank you guys for listening. Tune in until next time. Take care and have a good one.